Holden getting underneath. Maltz, great catch by Bernhardt. Score! Hello, highlight reel.
Play like a champion today. Notre Dame with its first title in men's lacrosse.
Hello, Lax fans. Thanks for coming back for another week of college lacrosse game day. A lot to get to today. We're going back to the Slate style, so we're just going to run through all the games from the weekend as well as cover what happened last week as quick as possible. Joining us today is two Division III studs on St. Lawrence, who is a top 5 Division III program. They're undefeated currently, have some great wins under their belt. We're going to hear about their journey momentarily. My name is Dan. I'm fired up to do this. We're going to go around the horn.
Yep, I'm Brett Williams.
I'm Hayden, and I'm excited for another week.
I'm Mike Hutchinson, and I'm fired up for another beautiful slate of lacrosse.
Let's go.
In the fourth. Time's a-wasted. Brent Fleck. Lehman. Snapshot trainer. Stopped by McNaney. Maryland going to get out of Panzer Stadium with a fantastic fourth quarter rally to win it 13-11.
Friday, March 29th. Stack 'em, says Loyola coach Charlie Toomey as he pushes past Lehigh and Dave Cottle as the winningest coach in team history. 12-10 Greyhounds.
Saturday, March 30th, Bobby Moe manhandles Mercer in Moon Township, 15-7 Colonials.
We assume Military Appreciation Day was a lock from the start. The Army Black Knights squeaked by the Tar Heels 13-12. Instead of a ham, it was a holiday lamb this year.
Linden won't be making the ASUN tournament. Kyle Playstead and the Playboys at Bellarmine spanked their ass 17-10. They've won 6 of their last 7.
The Binghamton Bearcats dig a hole too deep for UMass Lowell to get out. 15-6 Bingos.
After a historic start for the NJIT Highlanders, they have become a feast for the American East. Bryant beats Tech 12-8.
Canisius finds the keyhole on the Keydets and open it up on VMI 12-8.
Navy's defense squeezed Colgate like a tub of toothpaste bonnets, held Minnicus to 1 goal. Dan Daly, 15 saves, 10-9 Patriot League win.
The Tigers mauled Dartmouth in the Ivy League matchup. Mackessy's release was like a half-axe to the Big Green. 15-5 Princeton.
This got chippy for a hot second. Tough CAA loss for Chaz Woodson in Hampton against Delaware, 21-3.
The Pioneers blazed a trail past Villanova. Denver turns the Wildcats into Housecats, 9-6.
The Titans covered the strong side and the left side against Queens. First win of the year for Detroit Mercy, 12-7 final.
The Hoya Destroyers were buckling their chin straps while the Friars were buckling down for church on Sunday. Georgetown 15, Providence 10.
Nearly 4,000 came to celebrate Harvard, Virginia. The pomp, the pageantry was a spectacle. So was Matthew Nunes, saving, scoring, and soaring to a 13-10 win.
UMass stampedes back, down 10-4 at Hobart. The Statesmen are losing popular vote from the fan base, 13-12 Gorillas.
After beating UNC, High Point looked like my 5th graders against St. Joe's. Matt Bomer and Levi Birch were men amongst children, 15-7 win.
The Utes are brutes, and Jackson Bradbury shoots. He had 6 points. Utah 16, Jacksonville 14.
Thanks to Erlin's 15 saves, the Blue Jays outlasted the Blue and Maize, 15-11 Big Ten win.
Holy cannoli, St. John's is on a rollie. They beat Marquette in a Big East matchup, 13-9.
Siena Saints suffocate the Seahawks Saturday, 13-5, 15 saves for Arcuri. Wagner drops to 1-10.
Towson sends the Seawolves howling home. Palinetti had 5 goals, but it wasn't enough. 9-8 Tigers.
Albany UMBC, the freshman Jackson Palum gets his number called by Coach Marr in the final seconds and wins it for the Danes, 14-13. They are 3-0 in the American East.
BU 22, the Holy Purple Punching Bag 6.
After 60 minutes of play, Cam Rubin had 5 goals for Pennsylvania. It wasn't enough, so he scored another in double overtime off a textbook hitch to put the Quakers past Cornell, 11-10.
It wasn't the War of 1812. It was the War of 1813. Fairfield is 2-1 in the CAA after beating Drexel.
At risk of going 0-3 in the CAA, Sam Lufty calls game in overtime to give Hofstra a huge win over Monmouth, 8-7.
Manhattan on a roll, adding Marist to the MAC kill list. Kyle Duqua was a 7-point player for the Jaspers, 11-10.
On their daddy long legs, the Spiders ventured to St. Bonaventure and were poisonous, 19-8 win.
Yale poked the bear with a 6-foot string king long pole, putting up 16 to Brown's 10 in the Ivy League bout. Mike Daly has definitely seen better days.
The Bucknell Bison are not ready to be butchered, packaged, and frozen with an Omaha Steak label. Fighting for a league tournament spot against Lafayette, they win 17-8.
Sacred Heart was heartless with the Sharks and brings them to their fins 17-6. Tucker Spencer was 4 for 5 shooting.
Arlotta is becoming the Midwest cathedral of our sport, and Liam Entenmann is the holy goalie. Irish compel the orange, 14-12.
Vermont's men's lacrosse team took an Easter stroll down Church Street and right through Merrimack's defense, putting a beat down on the Warriors 20-8.
Lights, camera, Maction. Quinnipiac beats them out 15-10. They're 8-1. Oak, 13 saves.
The Buckeyes are the bad guys for Rutgers. They placed the Knights at the bottom of the Big Ten. Jake Mariner had 5 points in a 14-8 statement win on the road.
Sunday, March 31st, Cleveland State loses 12-9 to Air Force. Good chance these teams see each other in the ASUN tourney.
Slow and Steady wins the game for the Terrapins in a Tortoise beats the Hare saga at Panzer Stadium under the lights, 13-12.
Tuesday, April 2nd, game of the year in Ithaca. I need 10 minutes to explain this, but 3 goals in the final minute leads to overtime, goes to double overtime. A follower of the podcast, CJ Curse, ends it, and the play-by-play commentator then climaxed in tandem with a seizure. 18-17 final.
The Mountain Hawks didn't sharpen their talons enough to hold on to a game against Princeton. The Tigers take home a win, 12-10.
All right, Lax fans, welcome back. Another week of College Lacrosse Game Day. A ton of action to talk about before we dive into this week's games and slate. I want to start with you, Brett. You were in attendance at Jordan Field to watch the Virginia Velociraptors against Harvard in what was a phenomenal game. Almost unexpected to be that close and that tight for that long.
Absolutely.
Just tell us, paint
Let's
a
hear it,
picture
Brett.
for those who couldn't be there.
Paint us a picture.
I followed the crowds merely into a beautiful 50 and sunny day. I was sharing with the boys, I've never waited in line for a college game to go into the ticket booth. 5 minutes, they had people.
To scan your ticket.
Yes, somebody needed to confiscate my juice, quote unquote. He said I could either throw it out or chug it, so I decided to chug it.
Like a real man.
Need that juice.
He was giggling, but I was fired up. So yeah,
Can't waste God's nectar.
I broke the seal. I soaked it all in. I sat right next to the DJ. I made sure that I could watch Virginia.
There was
in
a
the fourth
DJ
quarter.
there?
Yeah,
What was he
and a
playing?
band. First time they've had a band.
That's
That's
one
right.
thing. That's
What
one
is
thing
this,
I've
the
never seen.
NLL?
I've never been.
They had a DJ playing during the game?
They had a DJ for goals, but then after a certain period of time, the band was just ripping. They had a guy. That's
kinda hype.
Yeah, it was great. It was like
I wish you guys could see what Brett was just doing right there when he
Yeah.
was doing the band. He'd make a good band member.
It was like
I would. It was like a maestro.
Maestro. You look like
That kid had the highest ACT score at his school too. The guy who was doing this.
a weapon academically.
Yeah, it was incredible. Anybody who was there in the greater Boston area, there's over 3,000 fans there. It looked like Arlotta. It was beautiful.
Broadcast too. If you were watching the game, it was an exceptional broadcast. Hayden and I were watching it in the car driving to Niskayuna, New York, to do some coaching, and they had the drone,
They did.
the 4K on-field camera after
Yeah.
goals.
That was a page out of the PLL book,
Yep.
which I don't know if I like, but I enjoyed it for a college.
Dude, how can you even say that?
No, I liked it for the college game. The PLL is a little intrusive sometimes, but it was good for this. It was also a Nesson broadcast, which was I've never seen a lacrosse game on Nesson before, but it was great.
The Ivy League's been doing that. The Harvard Yale was on Nesson last week.
Was it?
It was Nesson, but it's streamed on ESPN Plus. We'll move on from
Yeah,
this
I don't understand
pity
that.
conversation. But like,
But the sideline reporter too, whoever that was,
Yep.
he did a great job.
yep.
Like he's in the crowd. He's asking people questions. It was
I didn't see him, but maybe it's
He was
just
bouncing
because of
around.
where I
He was
was.
going around the crowd.
Really?
The drone was cool. It was an awesome broadcast and a great game. You can't draw up a more exciting play. Noons breaking a
Yeah.
tie.
It was. I was in the middle of editing the Shuts goal to tie it up.
Follow us on Instagram.
And then I look up, and he's literally cross half, just throwing fakes to everybody. and then he just walked in and scored. It was unbelievable.
That's Virginia throws the knockout punch as expected, probably later than most people expected.
Yeah, Brett, how was it? Harvard was up the entire game. How, I guess in terms of a home game, how many Harvard fans were there, instead of Virginia fans?
There were so many Harvard fans there, dads, that they were calling Virginia Southerners.
Wow.
They were like, kick their Southern asses.
Did they look?
That's crazy because Virginia is like a national brand.
It's like they were Alabama. Like
Did
it was
they-
like a SEC
Damn
matchup.
Yankees.
Did they look
Yeah.
intelligent? Did they look elite? These Harvard
The fans, no.
No?
The dads, maybe.
I'd have to assume
Sneaky
just from
intelligence.
going to lacrosse games, it's like golf in a sense where it's like they're lacrosse fans. Mm-hmm. They're not diehard
lacrosse
Harvard.
dad.
They're not diehard. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Wheels. They're
Wheels.
not diehard Harvard fans or lacrosse fans. I wish I was there. Missed it. Let's move on. Let's talk about Maryland Penn State. If you were with your family on Easter, you're watching March Madness, just waiting for 7:00 to hit so you can watch Joe Beninati call Maryland at Penn State. Fun fact: there was a Drake concert across the street before this game. So if you're wondering why it was packed, that's why.
All white too.
Yeah,
White out.
White out. We're gonna go here and let's go see Drake afterwards.
That's awesome.
There was some shots of the grandstand. The broadcast of Penn State films the benches,
Which
but
we need more of.
we need more of. But there were shots of the grandstand.
Good.
They'd go to the box and kind of pan out, and it was full. There was a hill next to the grandstand, also full. A great atmosphere, and also a great comeback by Maryland. Penn State looked great at the beginning. First time really sitting down, sinking my teeth into a TJ Malone performance, which was special. But Maryland was too much. And one guy I want to call out, Jack Corus. He's plays the wings of faceoffs, but he scored 2 goals in that run Maryland had to come back. Guys like Jack Corus, Sam English, and Stevens for Syracuse, who are guys in the wings, just the most athletic people on the field, also scoring goals. Some of the most fun I have watched. My favorite players watching lacrosse. Athletic, they score goals. Wings of faceoffs, they do it all. But a phenomenal game.
I can't believe they lost that game, Penn State. And you talked about the crowd there, and you think about also they never had beaten, and they still haven't beaten Maryland at home. That's still the case now. Penn State has never beaten Maryland at home. They were saying that during the game. They have that fat crowd there. Whiteout, which is I think one of the coolest student things to do is like a whiteout. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
But how do they let Maryland come back? And everyone, I feel like I saw tweets during it, and they're like, is Maryland, what's going on with Maryland? They're getting shit pumped right now by Penn State, who is a good team. They come back and they win that game in a hostile crowd. It speaks to Maryland and their culture and what they have. And they, I don't know if they're going to make a run to the Final Four, but you know what? Good for Maryland, man.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing like a Big Ten night game, especially at
Sunday
a
night
lacrosse only facility like Panther Field. It's a spectacle. There's something different about night games, especially when Maryland and Penn State are playing. It's just a beautiful scene.
My whole family watched after the March Madness games.
What a lineup. The 2 March Madness games perfectly timed up for a 7 p.m. Big Ten lacrosse game.
Right, and it's not weird either because it's on Big Ten Network, so it's like not Big Ten Plus, Big Ten Network.
Right.
So you're just like, let me change the channel to lacrosse.
Grab the clicker and change the channel.
People don't even think twice. I also put on, there was a replay of Syracuse Notre Dame during the day. I didn't tell anyone that happened the day before, so we watched that for a bit. I got some older folks sinking their teeth into an ACC matchup.
Nothing better.
A recording of an ACC matchup. A great game, and let's talk about that for a second. Notre Dame Syracuse at Notre Dame. The Vegas is banging on all cylinders. They had this down to a T. Notre Dame, 2-goal favorites. They win by 2. I thought Notre Dame was in control the whole game. I missed it live, went back, watched it. Notre Dame, they're the best team in the country, I think.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Notre Dame is back and fully healthy. I know Pat Cavanaugh's been playing the whole year, but this was the first time I saw him like at his best. He's dodging, he's making plays, he's scoring those hard-nosed goals. I think in some of these earlier games he was a little bit banged up still, and he wasn't going to the net as hard as you're used to seeing a Cavanaugh go to the net. And in this game he was, and it's so exciting to watch because like he is willing to just lay his body on the line. And all this stuff
Rudy.
after the national championship, right? He's taping his hamstring and all that, and everybody, knows he is this persona of toughness, and it's hard to uphold that through your whole career, right? It's not really sustainable. But now that he's back and he's 100%, right? He's just going at everybody he can, and it's so fun to watch. And since Notre Dame lost to Georgetown a couple weeks ago, they've beaten Maryland, Ohio State, Michigan, Syracuse, and now they have Duke coming up. So they've been on a tear. And I think when that Georgetown game happened, some of us said it was a fluke, but Georgetown's a top 10 team, and they played better that day. But Notre Dame is back. The Kavanaughs look great. Dobson had a great game. Jake Taylor had a great game. Entenmann had that unbelievable save. Which is like Sports Center number 1.
It's so lucky.
Pipe to pipe.
Yeah,
it's lucky.
It was lucky, but
it's
come on,
it's grit.
That's his ability. Like,
Lax Goalie Rat on Instagram. You've probably seen them in your Explore page. They posted an awesome video. It was a slow-mo replay. Jackson Birtwistle had like a 9-yard step down, like time and room, low to high. Unbelievable shot, but even a better save. Stick save by Entenmann. It was high, offside stick, just steps to it. He's low, crouched in that wide stance position, gets to the ball. Caption was diving, saves are cool, but how about this stop?
Yeah.
And that's
why
skill.
that's why he's lax rat.
That's why he's the Lax Goalie Rat.
I saw one thing on Entenmann. This is on the Lax Power forums. It said that Entenmann is the best goalie in college lacrosse in the last 10 years. Would you agree with that?
Who were some other names?
Were there any names that were thrown in comparison that were on the forum?
No, there weren't. But, off the top of my head.
Kyle Turry.
Burnlore.
Yeah,
Burnlore.
Turry's more than 10 years, I think.
Blaze Reardon.
Had to throw him out
You're
there.
close, coach.
You're close, coach.
But in terms of like accolades and being first team this and national champion, he might be up there.
There are some brick walls that I wish I could think off the top of my head right now.
Yeah. And it's
Jack
weird.
and Cannon, Hofstra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the college level, too, like you think goalies, their names kind of blow up once they go pro, and you're one of those 8 goalies playing professionally and starting for a team. But in terms of like college, just
Being like a 4-year
Krebs,
starter.
Manhattan.
Pat McAfee talks about him.
Yeah. Like the best 5-year career that you could rack up. Entenmann is certainly at the top of that list.
Yep. Moving on here. I want to talk about UNC Army for a second, which was, we asked a question. If you could teleport and go to any game this weekend, where would you go? Hard not to say UNC Army. Some phenomenal games, but UNC Army, that's the most packed I've seen the UNC facility yet, which is a shame because that's an unbelievable place to watch lacrosse.
Unbelievable.
You see all the seating, which is like not freaking bleachers. It's like professional seating, as well as the facility that kind of wraps around.
Yeah, the end line seating looks great.
Yep.
You're
And
up
they
like
have that
20
little-
feet right on the edge of the field.
That little sliver on if you're looking at the camera on the right side, it's like little kids shooting. They have like the wall ball and the nets. Like, it's so cool. And I was going to say this earlier when we were talking about Notre Dame, but these ACC stadiums, man, and these ACC atmospheres are so damn cool.
Yeah.
Give me 50 centi and higher. Any of those places, I want to go watch a game.
And Army showed up to that game.
And Army showed up.
They had a lot
They
of.
were the number 1 team in the country 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
A week ago.
I think
2
they.
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
I put them in the 3. I think they're one of the best 3 teams in the country. And yeah, they beat UNC by 1.
It's an ACC team.
Phenomenal finish. Yeah, it's an ACC team
At home.
They just lost a High Point. Like, yeah, they're gonna come out swinging. It's still UNC, and it's a close game, but Army comes out on top. They're just a complete team. They're complete. They're deep, and they're so talented everywhere. And to finish the game, they score a goal, and then they get a defensive stop. Yeah. Short stick Demity playing the ball. God damn it! I wish I had his name. I'd love to give him a shout out. It's excellent defense.
Demity wins. We love those here.
Army is a complete team, and that was a complete team win. Army's, been winning games by a pretty good margin, and they've had these team wins, but, doing it now kind of late in the season against a team like UNC at home, that's a scary sign for Patriot League teams and the rest of the top 10 who are going to have to inevitably face this Army team in May. So
And it pads their at-large resume too.
yeah, huge for them.
If say they don't win the Patriot League, which I bet they get to that championship, but BU already beat them this year. And as we said, the Patriot League is uber competitive. They could be knocked out earlier than we think. But I think at this point in the season right now, if they don't have any terrible losses in the Patriot League, they're probably going to receive an at-large bid. They're a top 3 team in the country right now. And I feel like at this point in the season, if you're a top 10 team, you're most likely going to get a large bid, depending on what happens. But
Yeah, Army was on that bubble though. Before that UNC game, they were like one of the first teams out.
sure.
If the tournament were to start tomorrow and the AQs
Sure.
were, the number 1 teams in each conference, they would have
It's a
been
big
out.
win, and Q's just lost
Yep. So
again 2 weeks in a row.
really good week for Army. They're not number 1, but really good week for their.
I think it's safe to say they're getting an at-large.
I think so
if
too.
they lose this conference.
I think so too. And if Army makes it to the national championship, that'll be so goddamn cool.
Yep.
We will all be there, regardless. But
Yeah, I'll take a train. I'll drive.
we'll be rooting for America.
We'll be there.
The flyover with Army.
That'd be sick.
You're gonna make me cry.
I know I'm getting emotional over here.
One thing on Notre Dame I didn't mention, I was going over a ride with my 5th graders, teaching a 5th grader how to ride. The first question is, do you guys know what a ride is? And the answer is no. And then one of them say, okay, ride is where you got to match up. Once you turn the ball over, or they make a save and you're still on the offensive end of the field. And one of our kids goes, like the Kavanaughs. I almost shed a tear.
That's right, Jimmy.
I mean,
Walker.
Like the Kavanaughs.
Walker was his name. And I gave him
outside of the spotlight, that's probably one of the most impressive things to be known for as a goal scorer is for the ride.
Yes, it says
That's like a
says
coach's dream is that's what your best player is known for.
It's why we love this game. It really is. That's enough of the recap. We want to highlight some other stories from the weekend that are very important. So we're going to hand it over to Brett for All Guts, No Glory. You ready, Brett?
I'm ready. First off, the double overtime win for Penn over Cornell. Currently, Penn is 7-3. Overall, 3-0 in the Ivy. Cam Rubin, beautiful hitch and rip, double OT. Penn just adds Cornell to their list of upsets so far. We hope to get Cam Rubin on the show. He politely denied. Really happy for Cam.
Said his coach wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
But Cam, the offer's still open, buddy.
Here, Penn star Peter Blake, he was Defensive Player of the Week that week, and CJ Kurse was Offensive Player of the Week. So talk about matchups, Mike. That was a great one. Emmett Carroll struggled in the first half. Their goaltender, Penn's. He was only 50%, but came out in the second half to redeem himself, showing his spot as one of the top goalies in the country. A long 10 minutes came after that. The Quakers couldn't hold the game aside. Kurse scored his 27th goal of the season to put them into overtime. Over the course of the day, Rubin had 6 goals in the contest before that final blow. The match marks 3 straight in the Ivy to start the season. Great sign for Penn's chances as they head into conference play.
One thing, I stop you there. One thing.
Yep.
If your excuse to not come on our show is my coach won't let me, bullshit. Because there's people from every program coming on our show. So if we ask you to come on our show and you don't want to come on because we're losers, just say that. But if your coach is the excuse, bullshit. Have something better prepared. Sorry, Brett. Continue.
Love it. St. Joe's pounds High Point 15-7. They're on a 6-game win streak. They opened the year 0-3, St. Joe's. Then they beat Air Force, Drexel, St. John's, Penn, Providence, and then falling to High Point. This week they're ranked 19 in USILA poll. 5 players with 20-plus points. 4 seniors, Matt Bomer. He actually just broke the program record for career goals. Levi Anderson, friend of the program, shout out Levi. Carter Page, Torrin Eccleston, and sophomore Jesse Jason. You've definitely heard these names a couple times. Weird stat here. Goalie Tommy Gross ranks 4th in the country in goals against, averages 8.8 per game. He had 15 saves against High Point. This speaks, primarily to the defense. These guys like Levi Murch, he's their eraser. Tight physical unit, those guys are. They're gelling on both sides of the ball.
Levi Virch, sorry, quick correction. You're having a great year, buddy.
What do we got next? Sacred Heart. They smacked the shit out of LIU 17-6, 5-0 in the MAC. 5 straight wins. Again, all conference dubs. They have some ballers through the first 11 games. Seniors Morgan O'Reilly and Sal Michio have over 30 points. Ward Spooner, Moulton, Tucker Spencer tied for first in the country, and man-up goals all have 20-plus points. The East Coast Pios are top of the MAC, again, 5-0, coming from the NEC, second year in this conference, but they just beat the bag out of the second, third best team in the conference by 11. It was a statement. All I can say is in the Lord's week here, they were shining on St. Joe's. Since 2016, they beat Marquette. Shout out Terry Brothers.
St. John's.
St. John's, sorry. Shout out Terry Brothers. I hope they had a great Easter dinner in West Islip. I would have loved to watch those backyard one-on-ones between those guys.
Jumping into our slate, we're going to do it a little differently this week, going back to the slate style. So we're not going to go conference by conference. We're just going to run through the entire weekend, starting with Friday, April 5th. 4 games Friday. I'm going to run through them real quick. LIU at Canisius, some action. LIU had their first conference loss last week to Sacred Heart. They're 4-1 in the MAC. Canisius 1-4 in the MAC. Last year, LIU did win this game. St. Bonaventure at High Point, an A-10 matchup. St. Bonaventure 1-7 in the year. High Point 6-5. They both lost their A-10 opener last week. High Point to St. Joe's, and then St. Bonaventure to Richmond. High Point should smack them. St. John's at Denver. Both teams 1-0 in the Big East. As mentioned earlier, St. John's got a huge win over Marquette 13-9. Denver had a big win over Villanova last week, 9-6. I do think Denver will run away with this contest. This one's at 8 o'clock Friday night. And then another 8 o'clock game, Robert Morris at Utah. RMU 2-2 in the ASUN. Utah is 3-1. Last year, Utah won this game by 10 goals. Moving on to Saturday, April 6th, there's one 11 a.m. game. VMI at Manhattan. It's a pretty good matchup. VMI 6-5 in the year, 2-3 in the MAC. Manhattan is 4-1 in the MAC. They're having a great start to their season. Last year, Manhattan did win this game 8-6. Expect another low-scoring matchup like last year. Moving on, Binghamton at UVM, some American East action. Now moving into our 12 o'clock games.
Yeah, both these teams have turned their seasons around in conference play. Binghamton in week 1 of American East play was 0-1 in the conference and 2-5 on the year. They've since won 2 games in a row with wins over America's team, NJIT, and UMass Lowell, and now sit at 2-1 with an opportunity to be 3-1 and push for being tied for first or second in the America East. Same goes for Vermont, who before conference play was 2-5 on the year. Now they have wins over America's team, NJIT, and a shellacking of a solid Merrimack team. The measuring stick here is how each team fared against NJIT. Binghamton beat NJT by more. I'm going to go with that Binghamton takes the dub here against UVM.
Moving on to some Ivy League action. This comes after we just watched Cornell pull off an exceptional win against Syracuse. Brown at Cornell, 12 o'clock, updating Cornell's record to 6-3.
Yep. As Dan said, at Cornell now 6-3, 2-1 in the Ivy. Brown is 1-8, 0-2 in the Ivy. They got their first win over a good UMass team 2 weeks ago. That's an impressive win for Brown. And in defense of Brown's 1-8 record, they do play a very difficult schedule. Their easiest games this year have been to Providence and Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac obviously a very low loss team, and Providence a solid Big East team. Brown's a good team with Aiden McLean and Mateo Corsi, and a couple good other offensive players, and Connor Terrio in net, who saves the ball around 48%. Brown's a solid team, but Cornell, what they just showed us in that win against Syracuse was that they can beat anybody. And Cornell has not been the model of consistency that we kind of expected them to be this year. Before beating Syracuse tonight. They lost to Penn in double OT last week. And then before that, they had back-to-back wins against Yale and Princeton. So they can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. At least lose to good teams, and I think Brown is a good team. The big issue with Cornell is their goaltending. They've been playing two guys, Nust, who's a junior, and Tully, who's a freshman. Tonight, I think
made the switch.
Tully started, and then Nust came in.
Yep. Both
Both guys have started 5 games, so they don't really have their guy back there yet. So they need to figure that out and really get behind one guy. If Brown can shoot the ball at a high percentage, which they have not been doing this year, they're 71 of 73 Division I teams in shooting percentage at 22%. If they can get that number up to around 40% and put some balls on cage, they might have a decent chance against this Cornell team. But I can't bet against Cornell. I like Cornell at home. It seems like an impossible place to play. They are a team that we could be watching in May, so I'm going to go with Cornell here.
Mercer at Cleveland State, another 12 noon game. Mercer 1-3 in the conference. Cleveland State is 2-2. Last year, the Vikings won this game 11-8. Marquette at Georgetown, 12 noon Big East.
Marquette at Georgetown. I mean, here the Bulldogs are the clear favorite, no question. They're 7-2 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Georgetown will definitely just grind Marquette down in this one and dominate possession as they've done with others. Fun fact, they are the 75th team in Division I in offensive pacing. They use 45.5 seconds per possession, which I think can attribute to their success and their game plan. Marquette, on the other hand, they just lost to St. John's. They're on their backs. I think this one's all dogs.
The Dogs. The Georgetown Bulldogs. I love the Georgetown Bulldogs.
Brett, what's their mascot? What's the Georgetown mascot?
Oh, they're the Friars. Are they the Friars?
You got this. Keep going.
No.
Come on, we're so close.
That's
Same conference.
another Big East team.
Same conference. Come on, think about it.
Georgetown.
Starts with an H.
Oh, the Hoyas.
There we go.
There you go.
There we
Let's.
go.
I can just restart.
Nope.
No,
we're going to keep
we're
that
gonna
in.
keep
We're going to
going.
move
I love
on
it.
now.
I love it.
Hampton at Monmouth. Hampton's 0-3 in the CAA. Monmouth 1-2. Hampton lost to Delaware last week. They got pumped. Monmouth lost to Hofstra in a thriller overtime game. Monmouth won this game last year 14-6. Hobart 0-1 in A10. They're at Richmond, who was 1-0 after a St. Bonnie's win in the A10, 12 noon.
I truly believe that this could have been a game of the week if Hobart didn't lose in a wild comeback loss to UMass 13-12 on Boswell Field in Geneva, New York. They did, however, show that they can be pretty damn good and surprise somebody in the A10 if they can play a full game start to finish, which they did for 85% of the game of UMass. They end up losing because it wasn't a full game. But this game could be season-changing for Hobart if they win and take the pressure off having to win minimum 2 out of their last 3 games in the A10. Richmond has already won against the one game that everybody has on their calendars in the A10 that has to be a win, St. Bonnie's, 19-8. I watched that one. Tough one to watch. And a win versus Hobart would set them up to make the conference tournament. They'd already be in with 3 games left. So this is Hobart's first time playing at Robins Stadium down in Virginia. It's going to be a long travel game. I heard it's a beautiful place to watch a game. We will have boots on the ground. I will be there. There are 2 good matchups in this game. Hobart junior defenseman Nolan Firth, 17 GBs, 8 cause turnovers on the year. He'll be on graduate attackman Dalton Young with 52 points on the year. That'll be really fun. And then another one here, sophomore Richmond defenseman Hunter Smith, 18 GBs and 8 CTs, really similar to Nolan Firth stat-wise. Is on freshman attackman Chris Patterson at Hobart, who has 25 points. He is basically seemed to become the premier dodging threat for Hobart, and I think he's going to be a matchup problem moving forward here, not only end of this year, but for the rest of his career at Hobart.
Another good conference game, Hofstra at Towson. Towson, the top of the CAA right now, they're 7-3, quietly 7-3, which is a great record. This one's at noon.
Yeah. Towson has definitely been a quiet team this year. As Dan said, they're 3-0 in the CAA. Hofstra is 4-6. They're 1-2 in conference. Last year, Towson won this matchup 10-8. This year, Towson is the better team. They're led by Nick DeMaio, who's tied for 11th in points per game at 4.8 points per game. Mikey Weishauer is another midi who averages 4 points per game. He is projected to be a second or third round PLL pick, so just a horse for that Towson team. Hofstra is a gritty team. They always are. Griffin Turner and John Madsen are 2 scoring attackmen for Hofstra. They score at a high level. But just to run through some statistics here, everything's kind of leaning towards Towson. Towson averages 10 caused turnovers a game. Hofstra only averages 6, which is one of the worst in the country, right behind the Hobart Statesman. Hofstra has one of the worst man-down defenses in the country. They stop the ball at 47%. Towson has a top 15 man-up offense, so Hofstra cannot find themselves in the box. Towson will capitalize on that. And then Towson goalie Luke Downs has been playing much better, higher save percentage, more saves per game than Sean Henderson, who saves the ball around 45% for Hofstra. Everything here is leaning towards Towson. I think Towson is going to keep the streak alive and win this game at home.
ASUN game, Jacksonville at Queens. Jacksonville, the clear favorites in this one. They're 3-1 in the ASUN right now. They won this game last year 25-5. I expect something similar. Navy at Lafayette, Patriot League matchup here. Navy 3-1 in the Patriot League. They're having a great start to conference play. Lafayette, after a really good start to the year, they're 1-4 in Patriot League play, so they need to turn it around. Navy beat Lafayette last year 9-6, so it should be another close, low-scoring, tight game. Big Ten matchup, Ohio State at Maryland, 12 noon.
Yeah, here is a upper tier versus lower tier in the Big Ten. The Buckeyes just beat Rutgers. Ohio State has been doing a pretty solid job winning possessions. They're 8th in Division I in possession percentage at 53%. Face-off man Jack Oldman is 60% on the season. This will be essential to give them hope at College Park. Maryland has Rutgers and Hopkins after Ohio State University. It should be a sight to see from the Hubble telescope up in the stands. Can Maryland get out front and can they stay there? That's what we'll have to see.
Ohio State too. They're have a lot of losses, but they're a good team. Their losses are against really good teams too.
Good defense.
Yep. Yeah, they actually do. Yeah, very deep defensively with a great goaltender. UNC at Virginia. The ACC is going 12 noon.
This would be a huge win for UNC. They need to win out to maybe have a chance at large. It might be out of question, but for pride of an ACC championship, it starts now for the Tar Heels. Opening ACC game for both teams, UVA and UNC. UNC has lost 2 in a row, both 1-goal losses, 1 to High Point. And Army, the A10 and the Patriot League are favorite conferences on this podcast, overpowering ACC Blue Blood. Kind of love to see it, low-key. But I don't think UNC can keep up with UVA, and I truly don't think that anybody believes that either, but I hope UNC proves us wrong. Scoring offense. UVA is number 5 versus UNC is 14. Peyton Cormier is the number one in the country in goals per game at around 4 for UVA. Connor Schellenberger is a really damn good attackman, and he's a matchup nightmare. And then Griffin Schultz is, when he's on his game, he's a scary player. He looks like a video game character, honestly.
Brett, for a second, talk about his size in person. Griffin Schultz. Coming off mute here.
He looks like he could start at fullback for the Patriots.
That's an exaggeration.
He's like 6'3", probably like 235, 230, if I were to guess.
So we're talking could be an FBS football player.
Maybe a little bit shorter than that, but like in terms of his frame,
Play Virginia.
in terms of his frame, he looks like
ACC football.
He looks like if he got in a 3-point stance, he could block pretty much anybody in college lacrosse.
In college
lacrosse. Okay. All right, but
So that's fair enough.
UNC does have the 10th best scoring defense compared to UVA at 21. Freshman attackman Owen Duffy for UNC. He's a top player to watch, not only for UNC, but in this game, he's been sneaky good this year. He's 22nd in the country in goals per game, 37th in assists per game, and 20th in points per game. He is a freshman, and just watching him against AJ Pilot on Army, he just looks like a tough cover. He's really fast, and he knows how to score the ball. So that'll be something to watch. But I'm not sure what the spread is here, but don't be surprised if UVA takes this.
Another noon game, Penn at Yale. It's one of our games of the week, so we're going to hold off on that one. A Big East game, and this seems like it's going to be a battle for the 4th spot in the tournament, which, I don't know, after St. John's beats Marquette, who knows? But Providence at Villanova at 12 noon.
Yeah, Providence is 4-6. Villanova is 6-4. Both teams are 0-1 in conference play. Last year, Villanova ranked number 13, 120-8. This year is a little bit different. Villanova is not as deep as they were last year. But last week, Villanova lost to Denver 9-6, and Providence lost to Georgetown 15-10. So 2 in-conference games, but each team played the top 2 teams in that conference. And I want to touch a little bit on Villanova because I feel like that's a team we haven't really talked in length about on this show. But I am very impressed with the Villanova program, not just this year and last year, but kind of over the last 10 years. They've always seemed to be in the top 15 or top 20. They always seem to have great wins. And that starts with Mike Corrado, who's been the coach there since 2009. Fun fact on him is he's a veteran of the Persian Gulf War, which, occurred in Iraq between 1990 and 1991. So essentially right after he graduated from Villanova, being a 4-year starter, Hall of Fame player, he enrolled in the Navy and got deployed in Iraq at the Persian Gulf War. So this guy is a war hero and a lacrosse hero at Villanova. And it's a real testament to the type of leadership that Villanova has at the helm in him.
Became a Villanova fan.
There's
We
no
love America on this podcast.
Yeah, and I've never heard this guy talk. He's not like a household name by any means, but this Villanova has been, kind of in our face in the top 15 for what seems like forever. And they're not a blue blood. They don't recruit like them. But they always just seem to put together a really good team, have studs, guys who, move on to the PLL and the MLL and are, household names. They're just a very solid team and always extremely deep.
Will Campbell. That's what I'm thinking of.
So, this year
Newest.
Villanova is an upperclassman heavy team led by Matt Licata on offense. They face off very well. Justin Coppola is the 7th best in the country in terms of face-off win percentage. Providence does not face off well. They have 2 guys, both under 50%. I think Villanova wins this at home. Their only downside this year has been their clearing. They're one of the worst teams in the country at clearing at 82%. So if Providence can ride them well and force some turnovers and get some transition goals, they might have a chance, but I like Villanova. I think they're going to be a team to watch out for in the Big East this year.
More Saturday, 12 noon, lacrosse, Quinnipiac at Siena.
Yeah, more action here. Quinnipiac was tested with Manhattan last week. Siena has not played them yet, so really no comparison to go off of there. The Bobcats, Quinnipiac Bobcats.
There you go.
5-1 on the road. They've traveled pretty well this season. They've also shot really well. They're 5th in Division I in shooting percentage. I think goalie play will be really important here for Siena. And their 4 wins are 62%, 42%, and 6 losses. And Gerard Curry was 75% last week, which is huge. They'll need to lean on him to stay in this game.
Another MAC game, Wagner at Sacred Heart. The Pios looking to defend their undefeated MAC campaign so far. UMBC at UMass Lowell, American East action. UMBC lost to Albany 14-13. UMass Lowell lost to Binghamton 15-6 last week. The Retrievers beat UMass Lowell 15-8 in this matchup last year. Some ASUN action now. Bellarmine at Air Force. This is a great ASUN game. Could be a game of the week.
Absolutely. The top 2 dogs in the ASUN, well, Bellarmine is tied for second with 2 other teams, but nonetheless, very big conference game. 2 examples of teams that didn't fare well out of conference, but have found a way to set themselves up pretty well for conference tournament play at this point in the year. Crazy to think that Air Force, or even more so, Bellarmine, can be hosting the ASUN tournament over Jacksonville or Utah. Actually, was it predetermined? Did we say it was at Air Force?
Yes.
It is, right? Never mind. Never mind on that. But still, to think that they can go into that as a 1 seed over Jacksonville or Utah is pretty crazy.
Yep.
before we saw how this year turned out, even in out-of-conference play. But Bellarmine is coming off a 17-10 win over Lindenwood, setting them up for 3 wins in a row in conference. Air Force is coming off a 12-9 win over Cleveland State for their 4th straight win, putting them at 4-0 in conference play. Last year, Bellarmine beat Air Force 11-10, tight matchup, and I think this is going to be a tight one too. Bellarmine is ranked higher in both scoring offense and scoring defense. In all honesty, almost every statistical category you can check on NCAA.com, they're higher than them. Air Force is led by junior attackman Josh Yago, 32 points, and Bellarmine is led by sophomore attackman John Alley, 39 points. I'm gonna go with Bellarmine in this game. I think they get a big win here and set themselves up probably for first in the ASUN.
I like that pick. That's a 1 p.m. game. So is this one. Bucknell at Loyola. Great game.
Yeah, Bucknell is 3-7 this year, 2-3 in the Patriot League. Loyola is 4-6, 2-2 in the Patriot League. Loyola is 11-3 all time against Bucknell. Last year, Loyola beat them 14-13. Loyola, similar to Cornell, has been up and down this year. They play a very difficult out-of-conference schedule. They had 2-3 game skids where they played solid teams and just couldn't get out of those games with a win, which they certainly could have used. However, they are on a 2-game win streak with wins against Lafayette and Lehigh last week. It seems like they play this tough out-of-conference schedule to prepare themselves for the Patriot League play. But Loyola, despite their not up to par record, is pretty loaded on offense. Adam Poitras, Evan James, Matt Minikis, all names you've heard before. Bucknell, on the other hand, has good wins against Dartmouth, Holy Cross, and Lafayette last week, which actually kind of told us a lot about them. They beat Lafayette 17-8. Bucknell just has a lot of talent. They recruit well from the MIAA and the FCAC and the ISL and NE West. They get good talent, but it just seems like they aren't coached very well. Who am I to say this, but the statistics speak for themselves. Out of 73 Division I teams, they are 71st in clearing percentage. They are 68 in turnovers per game, and they are 61st in shooting percentage. Right? I don't know much about Feder Jaka, who's the head coach there. He has been since 2006. I do know that he's a Hobart alum. He was a 3-time national champion. Mm-hmm. He's, the 1989 Athlete of the Year at Hobart. Played football as well in the Hall of Fame. He just earned his 150th career win.
Nail gun.
At Bucknell.
Nail gun.
He's a statesman if I've ever heard of one.
That is a statesman.
We'll get this stat. Bucknell just posted a celebratory post for him getting his 150th win as a head coach. He's been there since 2006. It's almost 20 years.
Hey.
Took a while.
How many D1 wins do you have as a head coach?
None yet. But
negative.
It seems to me like he's there because the school likes him, and I don't know if the school is interested in winning lacrosse games, but something needs to change on that Bucknell coaching staff because they have good talent, but they turn the ball over. They don't clear the ball. They don't shoot the ball well. Like, these are things that you coach. These are statistics that you can coach, right? And they're worse in the country at them. So I like Loyola here. I don't like Bucknell here. Let's go Loyola at home.
Quickly moving on. If the season ended today, these two teams would probably play each other in the CAA tournament, which is a big deal because 4 teams make it, 4 teams go home, which proportionally is unlike other conferences. Delaware at Fairfield, 1 p.m. game.
Yeah, Fairfield's definitely showed they have some pieces on offense later in the season, right? Bryce Ford has 35 points this year. JP Ward and Mike Robinson, the typical names there. At Delaware, they have 32 and 31 points, respectively. Kevin Ellington in goal for the Hens. He's 58% in save percentage on the year. That's definitely up there in the country. I think this will make a difference. Owen Morris is 58% from the face-off X as well for the Hens. They look good in the books, especially with their specialty players. Goalie play not as favorable for Fairfield. And face-off percentage with Dylan Smith lacking there, but I noticed that he's taken 100 more draws, so he's definitely a workhorse there. They're 2-1 in the CAA, and then Delaware is 3-0, so I think it should be a pretty good game day.
There's a few games I'm going to breeze through now. Holy Cross at Lehigh, Holy Cross 0-5 in the Patriot League. Lehigh 2-2. They just lost tonight to Princeton in a close game, actually. Last year, Lehigh won this game 18-11. Lehigh is 17-2 all time against Holy Cross. American East game, Merrimack at NGIT. Merrimack 1-2 in American East play. NGIT is 0-3. Merrimack is tournament hunting here. They need to make the conference tournament, and this is one of the wins they need to get if they do want to get in. Merrimack beat NGIT in this game last year, 15-12. St. Joe's at UMass, 1 p.m. game, A10 matchup, one of our games of the week. We're going to hold off there. Detroit Mercy at Lindenwood, ASUN matchup. Detroit Mercy 1-3 in conference. Lindenwood 0-4 in conference last year. Detroit won 17-16. They're both hunting for a tournament spot. Penn State at Hopkins, 2 p.m. game, Big Ten matchup, huge game, one of our games of the week. We'll talk about it in a bit. Colgate at number 5, Army. Colgate 3-1 in the conference. So is Army. So this should be a good contest, almost game of the week material.
Yeah, this should be a good game. And Colgate lost to Navy last week 10-9, which was a pretty big loss for them. They would have been 4-0 and the lone team at the top of the Patriot League standings. Army beat UNC, as we talked about, 13-12 last week. And before that, they lost to BU, who handed them their lone Patriot League loss. Army is loaded. They have 3 midseason first-teamers in Coletti, who was a unanimous selection at faceoff, and then Plunkett and Palat at defense. We've talked about Army enough. They're a solid team. We know who they are. We know what they are capable of doing this year. Colgate attack is very young. 1 out of their 8 top scorers is a senior, which is tough for them to win it against a team like Army this year, but it's a sign that the future is bright for Colgate. I think Army's going to win this game. They're number 5 team in the country for a reason, probably a top 3 team. I think Army wins this game at home, and this is not a game they're going to drop.
People forget Colgate beat Penn State, so they can upset teams. Excited for that one. Hayden, you're going right back with this Ivy League matchup. Dartmouth at number 15, Harvard, who had a great showing last week in the crowds and on the field. Dartmouth 0-2 in the Ivy League. Harvard also 0-2 in the Ivy League. This one's at 3:30.
Yeah. So it's pretty surprising to see that both teams are 0-2. Harvard is 6-3 on the year and ranked number 15. Dartmouth is 3-6. In terms of this all-time matchup, Harvard has the edge 51-40, which is actually pretty surprising because Dartmouth seems to have been the punching bag of the Ivy League for quite a bit now. But Harvard is 13-5 all time when playing on Jordan Field, so definitely a home field advantage here. Sam King is obviously their guy, number 2 in the country with almost 6 points per game. But a lot of other guys in Logan Ip, Teddy Graham, Liam Griffiths, Graham Blake. They're all guys who can score at a high level, as we saw against UVA. Dartmouth lost to Princeton last week, 15-5. They've lost the last 3 to Princeton, Penn, and Georgetown, and then beat UVM 11-10 before that. So they play a tough schedule, and they are battle-tested. But that stretch, if they had come out of there with a win against either Princeton, Penn, or Georgetown, this would have been a different conversation. But, as I mentioned, unfortunately for Dartmouth, they are the punching bag of the Ivy League right now, and I don't think that's going to last forever, but that is the reality of their situation right now. And similar to the A10, right, you kind of have to beat Dartmouth to have a good chance at getting into the Ivy League. This is a game that if you're a contender like Harvard is for the Ivy League tournament, you have to win this game. I think Dartmouth is going to put up a fight. It probably will be closer than you think, but, I think with the season that Harvard is having right now, they are not going to drop this game.
3:30 CAA game, Drexel at Stony Brook. Both had tough losses last week to Fairfield. Drexel lost to Fairfield by 5. Stony Brook lost to Towson by a goal. Those are 2 hot teams in the CAA. Drexel did win this game last year in overtime. They're both hunting for a spot in the conference tournament. Marist at the Mount, both 1-4 in the MAC. This is a 4:00 game. Mount won this game last year 12-9 in the regular season. Then they lost in the tournament, the MAC semis, 17-9. So looking for the Mount's looking for some redemption this year. The last Saturday game is Bryant at UAlbany, 7:00 American East game, one of our games of the week. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Moving on. Sunday, April 7th, Notre Dame at Duke, 12 noon, game of the week. Going to talk about it in a minute. But first, Rutgers at number 15, Michigan, 7 o'clock at night, Big Ten Network. Should be a great game.
Yep, Rutgers is 6-4, 0-2 in the Big Ten. Number 15, Michigan is 6-4, 1-1 in the Big Ten. I think Michigan is ranked a little bit higher than that. But Michigan lost last week to Johns Hopkins, 15-11. Before that, they beat Maryland, and before that, they lost to Notre Dame. So they've played some top teams in the last couple of weeks. They are a team that is capable of beating anybody. And I think especially at home, it is a pretty special atmosphere at Michigan. That's another facility that we don't get to talk about enough, but it is a very nice facility, and I think they do have a little bit of an advantage at home. Rutgers is a solid team that could really use this win right now. Their last 2 games have been losses to Ohio State and Hopkins as well. But they're another a high-powered team who has the weapons to beat anybody. They've beaten UMass, Hofstra, Loyola this year. No wins against a team like Michigan, right? All of their losses have come to teams like Army, Princeton, and Hopkins and Ohio State, as I mentioned. But, in terms of the importance of this matchup and the reason it's not a game of the week is because, as we mentioned last week, the Big Ten, everybody makes a tournament. Rutgers is not getting an at-large bid this year. Michigan is definitely on that bubble, but likely not getting an at-large bid. So, this game for Michigan is important because they might be able to host a game in the Big Ten tournament, which would be huge for them. So I like Michigan here, but this is going to be a close game. I just like Michigan because they're home and they're battle-tested and they have won these big games. So
Tuesday, April 9th. That's it for the weekend. Tuesday, April 9th. BU's last out-of-conference test before they need to come out of the Patriot League on top. Yale visits them at 4 p.m. Tuesday, April 9th.
It feels like BU is all of a sudden a highly touted squad who's playing high-level lacrosse, with their last 3 games being a handling of the, at the time, number 1 team in the country, the Army Black Knights, which was 14-9. They had a 1-goal loss to Duke in Durham, North Carolina, and then most recently a 22-6 shellacking of Holy Cross in Patriot League play. Yale is a top 10 team, and they've showed that they can be a serious contender to make it to the Final Four weekend, which they have been before, with wins over Harvard, Denver, Colgate, and Villanova. They have won 2 in a row since a tough 18-15 loss to Cornell. Going to be a high-scoring game, I can promise you that. Yale's defense has not had a single game where they have held a team to under 10 goals, and that is including Lemoyne. BU has proven they can score some goals with a high-powered offense, and even though BU has some All-American caliber type defensemen, Patrick Morrison, Roy Meyer, and Trey Brown, and a goalkeeper in Will Barnes, who is number 6 in the nation in save percentage, Yale can score some goals. They're number 2 in the country in scoring offense at around 16 goals per game. It is very important to note as well that Yale does play Penn on Saturday, which makes this a very, very tough turnaround.
If you like ASUN lacrosse and Maction, Wednesday, April 10th is for you. These games start at 12 and they end at 8 o'clock at night. I'm just going to run through them. Bellarmine at Robert Morris, Detroit Mercy at Jacksonville, Lindenwood at Utah, Quinnipiac at Sacred Heart, VMI. I'm sorry, I'm saying all these in the wrong order, but you probably don't even care. Wagner at VMI, Mount St. Mary's at Canisius, Queens at Cleveland State, Manhattan at LIU, Siena at Marist. That's it for this week's slate. A reminder to like and follow the podcast before I set us up for our replacement of the D3 rundown this week. Instead, we're going to talk to 2 D3 studs who have led their team to an undefeated start and some huge wins over some great teams in the Liberty League.
Murphy spins, gets free, shoots and scores! Now Hutchinson gets free and he scores! Hutchinson has been stopped a couple of times, but not that time, as he gets a run in the third. Clark with a long ball. Out to the ring for Hutchinson. Crossover, Murphy scores!
Judge, Ben, thank you for hopping on the show, boys. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having us, Brett.
Doing great. Good to be here.
Great guys. So hey, a lot to talk about on the St. Lawrence front. You guys just come back from the Mustang Classic, an awesome tournament put on for Division III teams. Both go into overtime, right? First was York, second was Christopher Newport, and I think both of you had the overtime goals. Did you not?
That's right.
That must have just been electric on the way home for both of you.
Yeah, it was a fun tournament. It was good to be down there, and we went 2-0 last year and went 2-0 this year. It was hard fought wins. Defense played great, and ball came down in transition, and both of us had good opportunities.
So that's kind of like when I look at the Mustang Classic, it's pretty much the ideal Division III matchups when you think about it. Best teams in the country all over the place. Can you confidently say that you think the Liberty League is just a level above the rest of the teams that you saw there?
Yeah, I mean, from top to bottom, I'd say we're as deep as any conference in the country. I mean, there's obviously like the NESCACs are pretty good, and some of those southern schools are good, but I just think that the depth of our league is second to none in the country, and we kind of pride ourselves on that.
Dude, take it easy on these guys, man. That's a tough question to come out with. Jesus Christ.
I have a lot of fuel. I have a lot of fuel and passion, and I know Hayden would want me to ask these questions too, because we cover it in the D3 rundown, but we want to get the heavy hitters early. So I appreciate your honesty there. Yeah, so when we talk about that too, like think about a team like RPI. What have you seen from them? I know you guys haven't played them yet. What are you seeing from them, and what are you seeing from the remainder of the Liberty League as you take on, I think, Vassar next week and then RIT following in April?
Everyone's playing good lacrosse right now. Obviously, RPI took down RIT by 1 the other day in a crazy weather game. I think all Liberty League is playing great lacrosse, like I said, and it's anybody's game any given Saturday or any given Wednesday. Doesn't matter who you're playing, just got to go out and fight, and I think that's what we pride ourselves on here at St. Lawrence. And it's just another name on a t-shirt. We just got to go out there and put our best foot forward and hopefully be successful at the end of the day.
Yeah, one of the big things we kind of try to preach here is consistency. Like, if you look at some of the scores recently, like Ithaca just lost to Vassar, I think, last week, who's typically on the lower end of the league, and then they go play RPI, who just beat RIT, who was 2 in the country, and they play a 1-goal game with RPI. So it's just, I mean, it really just shows at any given day. So we really preach consistency and urgency specifically this year.
Yeah, you talk about consistency. It's evident that you guys preach that and take pride in it because you're 10-0. You're consistently winning, which is awesome for St. Lawrence and your program. I want to ask just about this Mustang Classic, and a lot of our listeners probably follow some of the bigger programs in Division I, may not pay as close attention to Division III, but we all know how competitive and how talented those programs are. And the cool thing about Division III is there's just so many programs. There's so much talent all over the country, and the Mustang Classic's a great opportunity to bring these teams together from the South, from the North, to play each other. So I want to let you guys just talk about Division III lacrosse as a whole and how competitive it's been. I assume you guys both had opportunities to play at the Division I level. So I just want to let you talk about your experience in D3, all the talent that's in it, and just how hard it is to be successful in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start it, I suppose. A lot of these guys that we're going against, especially like Ben and I, were drawing like some of a lot of the attention, when we play these teams, and the matchups we have are with guys that could easily be playing D1 pole, goalies that could be playing D1. So, I mean, especially when you go down to the Mustang Classic where you play programs like CNU and York, who are like perennial top 10 teams in the country, you're going against matchups that are with kids that are as good as anyone could play for a lot of D1 rosters. So, I mean, it's really cool to kind of see where we compare with the rest of the country, but also just, show the country what we're capable of at a small school like St. Lawrence. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah. So following up on that, right, you're going against the best talent and you're being successful. This year specifically, there's a certain confidence and an aura around the team this year. You guys just seem confident. seem confident going to a game like Union where, sometimes it's shaky or we're not sure where we lie. You guys are just flying out with confidence. Just speak a little bit about the team this year and why you guys are sort of proving that.
Yeah, I think we worked really hard in the off season, and so it's falling back on our principles and going into practice, working our tails off, trying to be that consistent team that we are every day. So we just rely on the things that we've put the work in for, and I think we strive to do that every day.
Yeah, I think another big component of that is just trusting each other. Like you talked about those 2 overtime games. Those weren't just win the face-off, go down and score. We had looks. We went down. Their goalies made saves, and then we're sitting on the offensive side watching our defense, kind of a little nervous, but they make big stops for us consistently.
Trip Clark over the head. I sent you a text about that.
Yeah, Trip Clark.
Oh, dude,
he had a nice kayak too this past weekend.
Did he? His head's getting too big. You guys got to chill him out a bit.
No, he's killing it. But just like that trust, I think like we trust our defense, and then they see us go down and make a play, and they want to make a play, and it's like a little bit of an inner competition that just drives each other to be better. Like when we have our top man down unit come down and play against our top man up unit, it's always a competition. We always want to beat them, and they always want to beat us. So I think just that inner competition kind of just is huge. The trust and the inner competition are just kind of what's been driving us so far this season.
Definitely. It's clear when we watch you guys play, just the pride you guys have in what you do. And a lot of the conversations, whether we're talking about Division I, Division III, we're talking about programs and schools that take so much pride in lacrosse, whether that's Syracuse, Notre Dame, Johns Hopkins, a school like Tufts, St. Lawrence, RPI, RIT, Union. These are schools that take a ton of pride in their program, and when you're there, you can feel it. So I want to let you guys talk about the sport of lacrosse and what it means to St. Lawrence University. Before we started recording, we talk a little bit about your head coach, blanking on his name right now.
Mike Mahoney.
He's been there for quite a while. Obviously means a lot to you guys, means a lot to Brett and everyone who's come through that program, and probably the school as an alum himself. So I just want to let you guys talk about the program and what it means to the university as well as the area.
Yeah, Coach Mahoney is someone who I really look up to. He's almost like a second father to me. And a lot of the guys that have went through this school and are here now, obviously been here for 26, 27 years. And it's so easy to play for him and battle your ass off and work hard every single day for him. And we take pride in that, and it's just fun playing for him, and it's great.
Yeah, and another unique part of our experience is we've actually gotten to play with now all 3 of his boys. So the oldest one, Mark, was a junior our freshman year. The middle one, John, who we actually Ben and I live with, he's in our class, and then Daniel, who just came in as a freshman this year. So it's been a pretty unique experience, just to get to play with all 3 of his boys and kind of just experience that family, like true family, St. Lawrence career, like we play with Ben's brother, a lot of siblings, and that's just like a unique thing about the program, and it really does feel like a family.
Yeah, especially when you can go down to Judson Street with the Mahonies and eat breakfast with them every once in a while, right?
Yeah, getting their hot dog.
Showing up on a Sunday. It's nothing better. Yeah, I mean, I think, when I look back at my time, I think about the same things, the same themes. Talk about a special event. Judge, you were actually just nominated to being on the Tewaaraton Watch-List. As a lacrosse guy growing up, watching all these great players, I mean, what does that kind of mean? Is it like a weird thing? Like, just describe that.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm still kind of unsure what it means. People are, congratulating me, all this stuff, but I'm not really sure what to think. But we're just trying to go 1-0 every time we step on the field. Like I kind of try not to think about those things, just because, I mean, it really doesn't mean anything when it's all said and done. It's a cool feat, but it's not something that I try to like hang my hat on.
Well, as somebody who played with you and one of your friends, it means that you're one of the better lacrosse players in the country, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. But anyway, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys hopping on. Thank you for your time. Good luck next week with in-conference play. I'm going to try to make it to RIT, but I love you guys. Thank you for joining and representing Division III.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Dan.
Brett. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you.
Yep. See you, gentlemen.
Good luck, fellas. If you like what you're hearing, even if you don't like what you're hearing, quick reminder to like and follow the podcast. It's huge for us, specifically on Spotify. Moving on to our games of the week. And these are, of course, presented by the one and only Omaha Steaks. And Mike was actually just sharing a story about how Omaha Steaks actually saved your life.
It did. It did. Not only is it delicious, it saved my life. I was at home. It was a Wednesday. Just got home 5 p.m., working 9 to 5, and I was grilling up some Omaha Steaks, and a man broke into my home. I must have forgot to lock the door, and
Jesus.
He walked up to me, had a knife, and proceeded to try and attack me with the knife. I picked up a ribeye, and the knife went through the ribeye, and I was able to maneuver through, put the man in a chokehold, and I saved my family. And I've never stopped buying Omaha Steaks ever since.
Jesus.
Did you cook the ribeye after?
I ate the ribeye. I framed it.
Was it?
It's sitting above my bed. I look at it every night before I go to bed, and I thank it for my life.
Aged. Dry aged.
That's pretty special.
It's heartfelt.
Yeah.
Great story, Mike.
Hey, it's a great thing. It was a perfect medium rare to stop the knife.
It was.
It
Cooked to perfection.
It was easy to dial it in for protection purposes.
You go from frozen to ready to eat very fast.
So damn good.
Very fast. We should get them to sponsor us. First game of the week here. Number 12, Pennsylvania at number 10, Yale. This one's at noon, obviously an Ivy League matchup. Penn is 3-0 in the Ivy League. Yale 2-1. We're recording Tuesday, so we can't see the spread for this game. But Penn is sneaky, having an excellent season. A bad loss to St. Joe's, but besides that, they're playing great lacrosse. And you forget about them and them competing in the Ivy League. I might have to go down to New Haven for this matchup. 2-hour ride, could do it.
Do it. Yeah, Penn is playing at a very high level, and they are sneaking out wins against some very good teams. Right? And Cornell last week was in double overtime, was an unbelievable win. They're led by Tynan Walsh, who's a leading scorer on offense. He has 32 points through their 10 games. But they're very balanced. Ben Smith and Cam Rubin are big-time shooters and big-time playmakers. And the guy for Penn that has impressed me the most is their goalie, Emmett Carroll. I think he, just watching him, he's one of the best goalies I've seen play this year. And that's huge for Penn. Mike, you talked about Lavelle in recent episodes. Their defense is solid, and they have some studs in this post Sam Hanley era, when it seemed like their whole roster was studs, and now it's like a bunch of new faces. But they're a solid team this year.
The Yales, the Cornells, the Browns, even the Harvards, they all score a lot of goals, and they let up a lot of goals. Penn is the opposite. They can score a lot of goals, but they have an excellent defense, as you mentioned, anchored by Emmett Carroll, Brendan Lavelle, who takes that top matchup. He is an eraser in his own self there, and I do think that I think Penn takes this, man. I think, like you said, Dan, Penn has had a sneaky good year, and I think that they're going to go into New Haven and take this one home and go to 4-0 in the Ivy League.
At Yale too, that's a tough place to win games.
Just very tough.
Being in that atmosphere a couple weeks ago, you walk in and it's like, this is Yale's winning this game. There's no way they're losing. Their entire alumni network is here. It's a really hard place to play. And they beat Cornell, but it almost feels kind of like at Penn's a weird place to play.
It is.
It's that kind of old, like weird football
It's like the heart of
stadium.
Franklin Field. It's a huge field. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
No.
it hosts the U.S. track and field trials every year. It's like one of the world's best tracks, like running tracks.
How is
It looks like the fans
but-
are really far away from the field.
It is. It's
Probably
a
because of that
very
reason.
old school stadium
two
where
tiers?
there's the track in between the field and the stands, and you are pushed back. But the end zone is awesome. Like, it has the clock and it has all those sponsorships on it and a big brick building, and the stadium itself feels like it's right in the heart of Philly. Like, you walk up, you know how like when you go to Harvard and you go to the Coliseum, you see it driving in, and it's this huge thing, and it's the Coliseum. The Franklin Field is different, where you can be walking through the Penn campus, and then it feels like you just stumble upon it. And it's like you walk in, it's like, holy shit, this is a huge stadium. And it is a different place to play for sure, because it's a huge field. It doesn't seem like the crowd's right on top of you. It's a little bit pushed back. So yeah, I think that's a good perspective on it.
You also said that Penn had a bad loss to St. Joe's. I wouldn't say that was a bad loss anymore, maybe at the time, but how they've looked in, the 8 wins in a row now?
Yep.
It's not a bad loss.
Tuesday game too. Just a weird. Could have caught him on an off night. Our first A10 game of the week, St. Joe's at UMass. UMass had a very. This is really hard for me to get out and put into this microphone just as a Hobart alum. But UMass had a phenomenal comeback last week against Hobart. They're down 10-4 going into the fourth quarter. They come back, win the game 13-12. A great effort by a handful of guys. But St. Joe's, as we mentioned in our All Guts section, 6-game win streak. Started the year 0-3. They've won 6 games in a row, beaten some good teams. Starting to feel like this A10 conference is going to put up a team in the tournament who's going to be a contender.
And
Go for it.
just from seeing UMass play and just knowing St. Joe's and how well they're playing, UMass is just, they have a really good culture. They're gritty. They're tough. They'll stay in games. And I do think the biggest factor for UMass, if not in this game, is graduate goalie Matt Note. He's UMass's only hope in this game, in my opinion. He kept them in the game with Hobart. He had 18 saves.
Wow.
And that game could have been, Hobart could have ran with it, and Note kept them in it. And I think with a high-powered St. Joe's offense with Bomir, Levi Anderson, Eccleston, some of those guys, he's going to need to make some big saves to keep them in this, and I think that he can. I think it's going to be tight, but it's going to be a really fun one for sure.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference is the size of these teams. Yes, UMass is gritty, but when you look at their offense, they're all, sub 6 foot guys. And then when you look at the St. Joe's team, they all just seem like monsters, especially their offense. And, Levi Anderson and Carter, like Levi Anderson is 6'4", Carter Page 6'2", Eccleston is above 6 foot. They're a big team, and they
Not to mention their defense. They're thick.
Yes, just big boys at St. Joe's, and they've won 6 straight games after losing their first 3 to BU, Duke, and Towson. We started to worry about them, but looking back on that now, those aren't bad losses. BU has beaten anybody. Duke's a really good win, and Towson is a quiet 7-3 team. So St. Joe's moved up into the rankings this week. They're a team to watch out for. I think they are the team that will come out of the A10. But with that said, UMass is a senior-heavy team. 7 of their 8 top scorers are all seniors, including their face-off guy and goalie. So, with that senior leadership, anything is possible.
Like you said, I think St. Joe's comes out of this, but Dan, like you said, I think the winner of this A10 conference is going to be really, really scary in the tournament, and I think they'll play like a 3 seed, maybe even a 4, depending on how hot the team is who wins it. But I think they're going to be really, really scary, whoever comes out on top of this conference.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. Our Big Ten game of the week, Penn State at Hopkins. Penn State, a tough loss to Maryland. They had control most of it. And then Hopkins, a big win over Michigan. They score a lot of goals, more than they typically do. They score 15 in a win over Michigan. This is a great game. Penn State coming into Hopkins facilities. They play at Homewood, 2:00 on Saturday. We talked about the conference last week. It's weird. They all make the tournament. I think Penn State at large, they're fighting to keep a good resume. So is Hopkins, though. I think if they
They're both resume.
Yeah, they keep they keep their kind of loss total down. Whoever wins this game, they're going to put this win up and say, "Hey, look what we did on Selection Sunday."
Yeah, I think for Hopkins, if they win this game, they are certainly in the conversation for an at-large bid. They've won the last 2 against Michigan and Rutgers. They also have beaten Virginia, North Carolina, Georgetown, and Towson. Right, so those are some great wins. They went on that 2-game skid against Syracuse and Navy, which was an unfortunate loss for them. But this would be a huge win, if they can beat Penn State. That would give them 3 solid top 10 wins, which the committee would certainly be looking at. For Penn State, I think it means just as much. They're another team that is a little more secure in that at-large conversation. But this win would kind of push them over the edge. Both teams obviously want to host a tournament, want to host tournament games, and this is kind of a deciding game for the Big Ten tournament coming down the road.
It's a big bounce back game for Penn State. We all saw what happened Easter night, right? Sunday night. I mean, they have a home crowd. They're up big, and they lose to a team that they have not been able to beat at home, and they had it in their grasp. They're going to be playing angry. They're going to be playing like there's a chip on their shoulder, and it's going to be definitely a punch-for-punch matchup.
So we were going to have 2 Penn State guys on this week if they beat Maryland. Brett, you know them as former St. Lawrence players.
Yep.
They're not on the show. It's unfortunate. But you know those guys. What are they thinking? What are they feeling this week? How are they approaching it?
Yeah, I mean, they
mention their names too. Sorry.
Yeah. So one of them, Chris Jordan, 45. He's actually in his 6th year. He took eligibility towards ACL at St. Lawrence. Big time player. I know he played a major role in their man up. Played a little attack, a little midfield. Joe Scarfy, a shocker though, starting at defense after a couple games in the season. They're hard workers. They understand, how much support they get from their offense. I think defensively as a unit, they looked pretty good. They were throwing in a zone later in that game too, and I thought they performed pretty well at that. But I think they needed to kind of branch out to that. Maybe they were just overwhelmed by Maryland a bit in the comeback. But I mean, they're confident. They're confident in their team. Obviously, I don't think that this truly hinders what they believe that they could be. But I mean, they've been a pleasure to watch, and they're obviously fortunate to be part of that program under Coach Tim Broney. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how they kind of follow through. But I think they're a real contender, and I think it's just a bump in the log for them.
Last thing on Penn State, and you watched that Maryland game on Sunday on Easter, and we keep talking about the concerns with Maryland specifically being they're not deep enough. They don't have a list of guys like Virginia and some of these other big dogs in Division I. But in terms of completeness in a team like Maryland, like every position they just have a stud. They have wing guys on faceoffs who can score goals. They have lockdown defenders. They have great off-ball guys. Offensively, they just have goal scorers. Like not a ton of depth, but they're just so complete at every position. And Penn State just wasn't. They had some holes. They had some areas where you were kind of scared for guys to make plays. Their goalie is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Their goalie is phenomenal. Yes. Big Ten Specialist of the Year last year. They could make it right. You need a good goalie if you're going to make a run.
Need a goalie.
As we all know.
Need specialists.
Yeah, they particularly, just watching that game, they put Frassion in great positions. A lot of their feeds first half, like Maryland was just shooting low angle. He was holding pipes really well, making good stops. The goalie play was phenomenal for one piece of that game.
Yep. Let's see if they can keep leaning on him. American East game of the week, Bryant at Albany. Bryant 2-1 in the conference. Albany 3-0 in the conference. Albany's hot. They don't have a great record. They're under 500, but they are hot. Bryant has had a bit of an up and down year, but this game is pretty much going to tell us who's the top dog in the American East. As of this point in the season, it only matters at the end of the year, but this one's at 7 o'clock Saturday night. Should be a great matchup.
Yeah. Albany has won the last 4 out of their last 5. They beat a good UMBC team last week, 14-13. Obviously, for Albany, they have Jake Pisano, who's midseason first-team All-American LSM, probably the best LSM in the country, will be a first-day PLL draft pick. He is a game wrecker. But in terms of their offense, Albany is super young. 4 of their top 6 goal scorers are freshmen or sophomores. And Graydon Hogg is a senior who's in that top 6. Offensive scorers with 18 points. He played on Team Canada last year, if you watched the World Games. I'm surprised that he is not having more of an impact as I think he can. For Team Canada, he was, a second-line midi. He played a lot of minutes for that Canada team against Team USA, and he produced at a very high level. I think going into this year, he was a guy that everybody said, okay, he's going to be like a Jake Stevens type, but a little more dynamic on offense. Like, he is a very complete player, and I think he's, not taking that step that he's needed to this year for Albany, and that's probably why they are 4-5. But, they are 3-0 in the American East. They are the top dog thus far. But Bryant's a very good team. And as much as we say they have a shaky start and a shaky season, they're 6-3, which is pretty good. Obviously, they've lost some bad games, but they've also beat teams like BU, which tells us a lot about them. What do you guys think of this matchup? What do you think of Bryant?
I mean, playing against Bryant for so long, being the NEC, we see this almost every year with Bryant. They are always up and down, and out of conference, they'll have some games they lose. You're like, they'll have some good wins. You're like, they're good. But no matter what, once they get into conference play, they're always playing good lacrosse, and they always find a way to make it to where they need to be. A lot of times to the championship, or at least the semifinal. So that's what I have to say about Bryant. And then Albany, they're just a staple of America East. Like you said, they had an out of conference, but they're young, they're talented, and they know how to win in the America East. And then a matchup in this game. You mentioned Jake Pisano. He's going to be on Bryant's guy, and I believe that would be Aiden Goltz, who's 25 points of the year, maybe Johnny Hackett.
Yeah, I like Johnny Hackett. I think he's
maybe Johnny Hackett, who has 30 points. If you look at the points, if you're going to defend points, you have Johnny Hackett, but Aiden Goltz is their probably best offensive player. I'm not sure, but either way, it'll be a fun matchup.
Yep.
Pisano has 40 GBs and 23 caused turnovers on the year.
It's outrageous.
Which is outrageous. Some defensemen will not even eclipse that in 3 years.
Like myself.
4 years.
Not even close.
So great. That's going to be fun. I'm excited to see him on whoever it may be. Bryant is a tough team to beat. I think Bryant's going to take it. I think Bryant's going to go to 3-1 and make this conference even more fun. Put Albany to 3-1.
One thing on Bryant, I think it's just imagine being Albany and just being in this conference for so long. Bryant comes in and they win it first year.
That's what Bryant
They
does.
just take away this is ours. Yep, we win. New head coach, don't matter. Like ours, we win. Like screw you guys. And that's just there must be a little bit of shock and maybe some fear to that against a team that's been in it for years. We'll see though. We'll see who takes the crown back, if anyone does. Last game of the week and the game of the week. This is going to be an awesome lacrosse game. I love when Notre Dame leaves their environment and goes somewhere else and plays because you know how comfortable they have to be at Arlotta. But this week, they go to Duke. As the number 1 team in the country, they go to Duke, who is number 3. Notre Dame 6-1, Duke 10-2. Duke's 0-1. In the ACC. This game's at 12 noon. I'll check the broadcast right now, but I want to hear what you guys think and a ton of history behind this one as well.
Yeah, this is certainly the game of the week. 1 versus 3, it might be the highest rated matchup we've seen this year. I don't think there's been higher. Has there been a 1 versus 2?
No, not a 1 versus 2. You might be right. You might be right.
So, obviously a huge game. Notre Dame 6-1, Duke 10-2. Duke has played more games, but some of those games have been against studs. Though the one thing that I find intriguing about this game is this. This is at Duke. It's at Koskinen Stadium, and like you have like the bobblehead game or the class of 1987 game. This game for Duke is the 2014 National Championship 10-year celebration game. Right, That 2014 national championship, Duke beat Notre Dame. And Notre Dame won the ACC that year. But I don't know if Notre Dame agreed to this or if this was something that Duke did and said, hey, we're playing Notre Dame. Let's celebrate 10 years ago to this day that we beat them. We beat them. And Notre Dame coming off that national championship last year. I don't know. It just seems, why would Notre Dame agree to that?
I don't think it sounds like
Is Notre Dame going to be there too, those guys?
Maybe it's to get more people there. There's nobody there last game. Who knows?
True. Yeah. Notre Dame. Yeah. Duke does not fill up. They do not fill up. They consistently do not fill up. The only thing I know about this is it says on their schedule, 2014 national championship, 10-year celebration. I don't know if you saw anything else around they're going to do this. I assume it's a halftime. Like here, 6 guys who work on Wall Street to play for the team.
Yeah. But why would you even advertise it as that game?
You do like one of those professional panels. They all get microphones.
Because they won the national championship.
Flipping, crunching numbers.
I know, but against Notre Dame. Why would Notre Dame... I don't know. It just seems like a petty thing for Duke to do. Especially because Notre Dame won last
school.
year.
That's why everybody hates them.
Kids looking for internships.
That's fair.
You get an internship.
Everybody
get an internship.
But there are
the T-shirts.
a couple of matchups in this game that I would like to highlight. I love my matchups. We talk about Pat Cavanaugh all the time because you have to. He's a Tewaaraton finalist. He is playing unreal lacrosse. He is a stud. Pat McAfee's a big fan. He's making waves. Kenny Brower will be on him, the guy who we've been talking about recently.
Yep.
That's just an ACC matchup every year. That is one you have to watch, and it's just an elite matchup that's going to be a major factor in this game. And then on the other side of the ball, Sean Light on Brendan O'Neill. That's freshman versus senior. Sean Light has been taking the matchups recently. Seton Hall Prep out of New Jersey. Very athletic. He's just strong. He matches well physically with O'Neill, but obviously O'Neill has all that experience being in also the Tewaaraton winner last year. That'll be a really fun one to watch, and I think this could be an opportunity for Sean Light to really make a name for himself. Similar to Brendan Lavelle this year, he was already known, but he shuts down Brendan O'Neill at Durham, in Durham, North Carolina. Same for Sean Light. He does that. You're like, this kid's the next Matt Landis,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chris Fake, whoever.
Yeah. No, I think those are going to be great matchups. I guess in terms of who's hot and who's not, Notre Dame has won the last 4 against Maryland, Ohio State, Michigan, and Cuse. That's quite the stretch.
Yeah.
Duke is, obviously number 3 in the country for a reason, but, they played BU really close. They lost that game to Penn earlier on. They don't play as tough of a schedule as Notre Dame does. Even though they've played more games and have a little more experience this year, this is by far their biggest matchup of the year.
Who's better, Army or Duke?
Oh, I guess Syracuse too, but say that again.
Who's better, Army or Duke?
I like Army.
Same.
I think Army's tougher. I've watched Duke play. It seems like when Brendan O'Neill isn't dominating his matchup and scoring 5 goals a game, they struggle, which is crazy because they recruit the best kids in the country every year. If one guy can't contribute, the next guy has to step up. And McAdory has been doing that. Denenza has been doing that. Balsamo has been doing that, but not at the level they need to. If Brendan O'Neill gets locked up, which, obviously he's a Tewaaraton winner and you don't expect him to, but he is going to get locked up because he has a target on his back. These guys have to step up.
It's just it's outrageous. Like, it's actually outrageous. Imagine getting the recruits that Duke does, and then your offense being, we can't do anything. We're going to give it to Brennan, and we're going to let him isolate. Like, yeah, Brennan O'Neill, he's that good. He is that good. Like, he has earned that right, and that's pretty reliable. But you have your other 10 offensive players are unbelievable.
Number 1, number 2 recruits.
Yeah, in every class at every position, like your
best player on Michigan from last year.
And just your offense turns into, let's just give the ball to Brennan O'Neill. Please, Brennan, save us. Get us out of this 2-goal hole against BU.
Yeah. It's unsustainable. And
is he hurt? Is he more hurt than he was before? I'll make one quick comment. He started with 1 piece of material on his upper thigh, and it has slowly moved down to his entire leg being covered with something.
I think it just slides down throughout the game.
No, I think it's literally he had like a brace on his leg.
Yeah, bro, I agree with that. I think
He's hurt.
Well, then don't play. If he's hurt, yes, maybe he can't do what he's used to doing. But
Well, how else are they going to beat BU?
Exactly.
How is they going to win?
They can. They could.
Obviously, they don't think so. Danowski, hot seat.
Put him on the block.
Not in a million years. But yeah, this is going to be a great game.
I think Notre Dame takes it.
I do too.
I want them to win.
I think Army's better than Duke, and I think Notre Dame's better than Army.
Yeah.
I think Army's the number 2 team in the
that.
country. Behind Notre Dame.
I like it.
Virginia.
I think Virginia's too.
Virginia, Notre Dame, Army.
Notre Dame, Virginia, Army,
Just them 3.
Maryland.
I don't think Maryland's sustainable.
I love that win that they had.
You think Maryland's
I know.
better than Duke?
I love it too.
You think
Maryland's better than Duke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So then why is Duke where they are?
Let's keep going. All right, Maryland's better than Duke. Who else is in that conversation? Syracuse.
I think they're behind all of them. They might be better than Duke. No, they are better than Duke. They beat them 10-4.
What about an Ivy? Cornell?
Cornell.
I think Yale's.
You think Yale's better?
Cornell just beat Syracuse.
What about
I guess we'll find out this weekend.
What about Denver? What about Georgetown? What about the Big East guys?
No.
They're just not real to me.
I think so too. I think they're outside the top 10.
Like you can't you scored 9 goals against Villanova.
I think they're outside the top 10. Maybe Georgetown creeps into the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah. What's a better conference, Big East or Patriot League?
Top to bottom?
Like
Top 3.
top 3 teams in each conference.
Big East.
For the top 3, probably Big East.
Who's the top 3 in the Patriot League? Army,
BU.
Then who?
Could be
Colgate.
Navy, Loyola.
Navy. Loyola.
I think it was in terms of record.
The problem is who's number 3 for the Patriot League. The top 2 are really good, but I think the top 2 of the Big East are better.
Denver, Georgetown, Villanova.
Pretty good.
Villanova's
pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
We should put out a ranking.
We could do this all night.
Yeah. The Pardon My Take ranking where it's like the different categories or whatever. It's fun, but it's a lot of work, and it's 11:45 on a Tuesday. So we don't have much more time to do more work, but we thank you guys for joining us and listening. Please remember to like and follow the podcast. It is huge for us. I want to return to my rant earlier around people or players who don't accept to come on the show. I got a little hot under the collar there for a second, and I do apologize. I do apologize, but yeah, if you don't want to come on, just say no. I do think your coach will be okay if you do come on the show. Nothing bad will happen. We've had a lot of players and a lot of great teams, but we love you. Thanks for listening. Please remember to follow, like the podcast. We'll see you next week.
Holden getting underneath. Maltz, great catch by Bernhardt. Score!